Hi again, my honeys. I'm happy to be back and recording for you again. I got a request to discuss my journey with cancer, which is an enormous topic, and I've been trying to figure out where to start. So, right at the beginning. I was 29 years old. For those of you who don't know, let me just briefly give you some background. I was 29 years old when I was finally, after 2 years, diagnosed with terminal cancer. I was given at most 3 weeks to live, told to make my peace about it and go home and die. I was determined to find my power in that situation because dying was not on my agenda. Certainly didn't make it to my to-do list. At that stage, I was young and I was a mum of 4 children, all under the age of 5, whom my hubby and I had adopted by choice. So those children had already lost one mother, and I was determined that they weren't going to lose number 2. So I always say that the first thing that saved me, the first thing that helped me to save myself, was love. The profound love that I had for my children, the profound love that I had for my husband, and the profound love of life itself. The second thing that played a hand in saving me was having a very strong inner rebel. I was just adamant. I refused. I was like, no. Die in 3 weeks? No. I went to a succession of 12 doctors in those following 2 weeks, in which I was supposed to be at home, wrapping up all my stuff and saying my goodbyes and making my peace. I went to 12 different doctor's appointments, all of whom told me the same thing and told me to go home and die. And I just refused. No. Till eventually I came across lucky number 13, my doctor, my angel, who looked across the desk at me and said, "Do you know what, sweetheart? Because of your attitude, we're going to try." So that's the third thing that saved me, was persistence. When life tells you no for whatever it is, your refusal to accept that reality, your personal truth, needs to be stronger, louder, and more persistent than all the no's, rebuttals, and refuses that you will receive. But then, I was determined to do whatever I could personally do, in addition to my medical treatment, to help myself, because my situation was so dire. So I started researching all the natural healing modalities that I could use to help myself, and I used many of them. And in subsequent recordings, I'll go into that if you'd like me to. The primary thing that I came across, the thing that I have lived the last 20 years of my life by, was science of mind. Science of mind is nothing more than telling yourself the highest truth about whatever situation you find yourself in. But I came to it because of this wonderful little angel of a girl who life brought across my path. And she said 2 words to me, just 2 words, that changed absolutely everything. I was advised to go and see her for therapy because, as those of us who know, cancer always has a massive emotional and trauma base. So I was advised to go and see her for therapy. And when I sat down in a room with her for the very first time, she looked at me and she said, "What do you want from me? Why are you here?" And so I told her my story of being diagnosed and the fact that I didn't want to die. And I wanted to do whatever I could do to help myself. And so when I said, I don't know what I do want, but I don't want to die, her response was, then don't. Just like that. Those two little words, then don't. And so obviously I was like, what do you mean? And that began the exploration of understanding the depth to which we are free will beings. Absolutely everything is a choice, my honeys. If you don't want, then don't. Make a different choice. You always, always, always have a choice. So even when confronted with death, certain, guaranteed, multiple times confirmed death, we have the power to stand up and say, that's not my choice. That's not what I want. That's not what I'm going to experience. That's not what I'm going to create. I chose life because we can. And I'm here now, 20 years later, still choosing life and telling you, my honeys, that you have no idea how powerful your will is. Your will be done. I promise you. Will, and the powerful force that is your will, is a completely different thing from exercising willpower. Willpower is an emotion, and it's a white knuckle experience where we force ourselves to be strong until we feel differently, and then we cave. Will is a choice made in mind with no other options. It's the only way, and that is your power. Remember this, no matter what you are facing, you always, always have a choice. Choose with your hearts, my honeys. Choose in the light of truth. Choose. Choose.